Hi again. Obviously I've got the KA24 head out and disassembled. Looks pretty good. I didn't see any major amount of crud around the valve seats. The valves look okay. The seals look, dark and grimy. They've got a few 100,000 miles on them. And like I said, I thought that they were leaking. Pretty sure they were. But everything else seems to have come apart pretty nicely. I haven't checked the head for flatness, but I didn't have any reason to suspect any leaks or anything like that. Again, the motor was running great. It was boosted, so it was under additional abuse. But honestly, nothing in it shows any signs of wear, which that's good to see. And if we take a look at one of the pistons, obviously we've got a little skirt wear. But despite having spent a good while fiddling with tuning, there's really no indication of detonation in the piston caps. So pretty happy about that. And I'd been a little uncertain whether I should continue using the stock pistons with new rings, go with the DNJ pistons that came with the rebuild kit, or go with turbo pistons. And I've settled with, I'm going to put the DNJ pistons in. And part of the reason is just that they work so well in other applications I've put them in, including in boosted applications. So I feel like they've got a good reputation there. And since the boost level I'm going with is not extreme, I'm not going to go above about 10, maybe 12 psi. I mean, I'll have to break it in and then get a good feel for it. But I'm not really going to the point where I think turbo pistons would be appropriate, and that would add a couple $1,000s to the whole build. So the idea with this build is I don't want to go beyond what somebody might be able to do with just some leftover spare parts, because I mean, anybody can throw money at a motor and make it go fast. But the KA24 is kind of well known for being a budget, a nice, tough, forgiving budget motor that you can do quite a lot with. Block looked good. I've been cleaning it. The only thing I can't get, I don't know what this gasket is made of, but I cannot get this thing off. I got to the point of taking my gasket scraper and hitting the back of it with a hammer. It's just smoothing the edges. I let some methyl ethyl ketone sit on it, and it's not dissolving or anything. So I might try a flap disc. I really don't know what to do next with that one, but that's not a complicated problem. That's just an annoying one. In the meantime, this for a while was my daily driver. This is a 1985 Chrysler Laser, 1985 Chrysler New Yorker. My first turbo Dodge was a Chrysler Laser, and I had swapped it to S-Bec Electronics, and from a 91 Dodge Shadow. Obviously the wiring looks like vomit. I need to loom that up, reroute it, make it nice. And this one I might modularize as well, since the wiring is basically contained with the sensors that go on the wall and the stuff that goes on the motor. I might cut the wall sensors off into its own bulkhead for serviceability. But I was trying to diagnose a problem with the transmission. This is an A413 transmission, very simple, 3-speed automatic transmission. These are known to be very tough. They're used a lot in drag races just because they will handle the boost, and of course with these having a fairly wide torque band, you don't need a whole lot of gears. Well, the problem I had was it was staying in first. I changed the valve body, I checked and I flushed and changed the transmission fluid, I checked the throttle valve was moving. I never could figure it out, and I put a spring on the governor. I checked to make sure that we had fluid moving freely through the transmission cooler. I was just stumped. Well, at one point I thought I had it fixed, which I didn't, and I took it on a very gentle ride down the road. And I say gentle because I was pushing the throttle as little as I could in hopes that it would shift from first to second. So we're not talking boosting, we're not talking, you know, driving cold or anything like that. I let it warm up because I wanted the fluids in the transmission to be warm. And all of a sudden, clunk, pata 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 pata. Here's the head. There are little pieces of piston ring stuck underneath of that valve. Obviously, it was chewing on stuff. Cylinder number 1's piston. Yeah, piston is pissed off now. 2 has some damage to the top and appears to have very minor cracks on the side. 3 shows some detonation pecks on the top. These 2 probably have detonation pecks as well. But the weird thing is, number 4, which, you know, looking in reverse, 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 4 is flawless. And this is weird for a number of reasons. What would cause the detonation? Well, you know, timing being too hot, a low quality fuel, too much boost, bad fuel mixture, a couple things like that. Except that I can't figure out why just number 4 was good, especially since the cooling, it's still the stock cooling, and number 4 gets the least cooling of the whole motor. Now what I did notice is, when I pulled the head off, these coolant passages were all blocked up. All of them except for number 4. So I want to diagnose why these pistons got ruined like this. This head is probably salvageable. I don't think that there was any damage to the area around the cylinder, which needs to seal. This is surface damage and it can just be ground down. There's a mod I just discovered where you can cut this to a better shape for a little bit lower compression and better mixture and combustion. So that's probably fine. But what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to swap in that motor. That's the one that came out of the 91 Dodge Shadow ES. It's a fairly low mileage motor. It had good compression when it was pulled. The car was hit when it was parked. So no damage to the engine. It was fine. And I had already bought PT lifters. I converted a Garrett T03 turbo from a Turbo 1, which is pretty simple. The main difference, it had an EGR. I removed the EGR, and it had the outlet was coming out at an angle to fit with the throttle body, and in an intercooled car you want it to come out sideways so that you can turn the pipe and connect your intercooler pipes. So that's been done on this. So this is ready to go, and I also have a calibration for 3 bars. Now the one that's on here is a 2-bar. Lift up the flap. FWD performance. It was I believe it was set to 14 or 15 psi, which, you know, I was just controlling it with the Granger valve. But this was set for stock fuel injectors, stock motor with intercooler, etc. And seemed to work pretty well. Idled a slight bit on the rich side, but not too bad. And it seemed to generally be running a little bit rich, which again, why would it be detonating if it's running rich? I just don't understand that. So whatever the cause, basically everything's going to be swapped out anyway. New motor, new computer, plus 40% injectors. The intercooler and the piping is all going to be new. I have a new fuel pump. I'm going to drop the tank to inspect the sump. I'm still not sure if that's working correctly. I pushed the return hose so that it would try to aim for the sump, but I don't know if it really was. And so all that should be a completely different set. And I'll go ahead and put a wideband in as well. So that's my 2 projects going on right now. This is still at the cleaning and then reassembly stage. I'll check it for flatness, but I'm not going to do pressure test or anything like that. There was no reason to. And I'll lap the valves real quick, clean them up. But yeah, I've got everything to go for this one, except for all the fun stuff I want to do later. But yeah, everything looks nice and clean. I don't see any major skirt land wear. All the journals look nice and clean. The cams look really good. So yeah, it's ready to go back together. We'll probably attack it again in another couple weeks and get some more progress, some more fails. So, all right, talk to you later.